going live. All right. We are going live. And if you're new to this channel, definitely like, subscribe, become members if you want. Check out the roller coin game. I constantly promote it because it's practically free money. Hundreds of dollars I've made through that game. But using that reference link, you instantly get 1,000 Bitcoin Satoshi. So check it out. To save. Boom. All right, let's get it going. Who's in here? Who's that? All right, a little delayed. I was making lentils and studying and creating the video for today. So let's get into it. What do you guys want to see? Obviously, probably XCN more than likely. No? What is happening? Is there a virus in this computer? What was that? Holy shit. All right, ask some questions. I got a whole 3 of you in here. So let's try and see what we can get going. I'm trying to pull up the chart and then I got to connect it. The computer's lag. All my electronics are lagging. I don't. You do trading for a living and then you have garbage technology. What is happening? Let me go to the chart. Trading view, XCN. Una mierda, what is happening with this? Terrible. Let's try this again. XCN USD. Do it on cryptos. Pull this chart up for you guys. And I do have a meeting with one of the members today, so I'll have to cut some stuff short. But hopefully I can cover all your guys' questions. There we go. There we go. Let's get this set up. And what everybody wants to see. Boom. There it is. There's the good old chart. Ask some questions and I'll start responding. I got my video pre-recorded. Hopefully the mic worked for that and you guys can see kind of my explanation on XCN in a little bit more depth. I'll be posting it here in a bit. But if you are new to trading, or I assume the people who are in here are members or subscribers at some point, not just random people. But if you're not, this is kind of the wedge that we are working within XCN. And when we zoom in and we start looking at the trend lines, first off, this is the major trend line. This is the more important, bigger picture is this downward trend line. This upward one, however, is showing that we tested here. We tested a little higher here, and then we dropped a little lower, but it's like, okay, we can't really push it much further, but they can. It really depends on what Bitcoin's going to be doing. And if Bitcoin is working in the upward wedge, it can drop down to 52K, which is a possibility. We're not putting it past ourselves, which would essentially make XCN do something similar to this liquidity sweep, testing this black downward trend line potentially. Maybe it doesn't go that far. Maybe it comes down into the fair value gap and then starts building a little bit of support. But this point in time is pretty important. That is essentially when we want to see the Clarity Act get passed. Nice. Nice. Dollar cost average. Yep. XCN, if I had more money, I'd be putting some more in at this point, even if it does that pullback. The price it's at is completely undervalued, and a lot of it has to do with the market manipulation that happened October 10th with the government shutdown. And that pretty much that turned every crypto trader in the red because everybody was expecting a push up. What's going on, Jeff? NEAL. I know the transductor or translator, AI translator says NEIL. That's not my name. It's NEAL. Neil, meal, deal, seal, teal, eel, qualquier eel, whatever you want to say. But names are important. It's good to get them correct. No worries. No worries. What do you guys want to see? Oh, did you check out that game, Sola Jeff? I don't know if you use that link or not, but I know it's a little slow at first, but it's not bad. I mean, I've been playing it for a couple of years. I didn't play it for 2 years, and I'm still earning ridiculous amount of crypto playing that. What do you guys want to see? Give me something to talk about. I'll be putting a video specifically on XCN. I just recorded it right before entering into this live, but it was a little delayed with life stuff. Nice. That's legit. That is legit. Have you made something? I mean, you obviously made something. You just started. No matter what, you start mining, whether it be Bitcoin or whatever. It's not bad. So this essentially is my expectations for XCN. Everybody's expectations, I assume. Obviously, the 200 EMA, whenever it gets to this teal, is my personal opinion of where the 200 EMA will be at. If we have a pump up, we are more than likely going to get some resistance off of that. I said that last time. Whoops. However, we did have a push well beyond that to the upper trend line. So could be wrong. We could just blast through that 200 EMA and tap up here roughly almost 1 cent before having our retracement again, looking something similar like this. Ideally, we would not want that to happen because if it pushed up to that downward trend line, we would expect a retracement at least back to the 200 EMA, in my opinion, and then get some consolidation, but it could push lower again like we saw back here in January 11th to 16th, having that major decline. And it's because a bunch of volume comes in and then it's got to be pulled right back out to have a healthy market. You can't have these major pumps without having major retracements. That's not normal. And I can show you why that's not normal. We'll just go here real quick. This is a prime example of why that would not be normal. Let's zoom in, do some of this. And as you can clearly see, major pump just kept on riding that up towards the 200 EMAs like, where are you going? And it just kept pushing. And then at some point, way up here, way up around, what is that, $20, it's like, okay, that's a little bit too much. Had a major pullback. The CM Guppy held a little bit of support, but then it got rejected, and you could more than likely see a downward trend line like this. All right, it got its rejection. And what did it do? It pulled way down, way underneath that 200 EMA, had consolidation from May until July before saying, all right, 200 EMA is tired of it, and pushed it to a ridiculous high, way up here around $102 before retracing all the way to 50, pumping up again, and then major rug pull and scam stuff with Luna, and then it's been dead ever since. So that's kind of what happens with the EMA. And you say, well, I see right here we were pushing way away from the 200 EMA, no problem. That is true, We pushed from roughly $5 to nearly 100 before coming back and tapping that 200 EMA. But a lot of people are selling off in between. There's a lot of stuff. It's just not healthy, because what happens next? Complete obliteration of $120 coin to roughly 30 cents. All right, give me something. What do you guys want to see? Because you're going to see an XCN video. I can't express enough how much you guys should be stacking your XRP. A lot of people who are here just for XCN, if you're here for XCN and you don't have any XRP, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. You say, well, there's a lot more percentage to gain in XCN. Yeah, there is. Maybe put $100 in XCN, it turns into $1,000 a lot easier than putting $100 in XRP. But maybe they say you can't buy XRP anymore whenever it gets regulated, because it's going to be used for the banking system. Maybe you can still have it in your wallet. Maybe you sell it and you can't rebuy it back. There's many things that can happen within regulatory means, as opposed to just seeing the data. Not saying you can't buy XRP again. Obviously, I'm going to be selling some on the way up and then rebuying it back in. But there's a lot of uncertainty. But XRP, all I have to do is say 0.03% of anybody in the world has beat the SEC in a lawsuit, and XRP is a part of that 0.03% that did beat the SEC in a lawsuit. If that's not enough information to be like, okay, they obviously have something here, I don't know what I could tell you guys besides, like, don't miss out. I don't know. I mean, I was in here around the 50 cent mark and prior to that, but obvious suppression for over a decade. And all we really got was Gary Gensler saying sorry, after he wanted like $1.25 billion, not in dollar form. He wanted $1.25 billion in XRP. And the reasoning behind that is because they wanted XRP to be a security. If you don't know what a security or a commodity is, security is essentially the SEC wanting to control it. They just want to do this to you, control your money. Since it was not declared a security, which is this moment in time right here, it went from 50 cents up to roughly $3.40 within a few months. And since it's not a security, the SEC can't be like, well, no, it's ours. Now you guys have to do what we say. It's a commodity, and that means it's for the people. So the SEC went from like 1.25 billion not being paid out in dollars, being paid out in XRP, down to 125 million. You say that's a ridiculous amount of money. No, it's like a 98% decrease in price in lawsuit. Save yourself 98% or millions and millions of dollars and say, okay, we'll pay you 125 mil in XRP. Be good with it. And then all you get is a sorry. You know, the whole market is based around government, politics, the do's and don'ts. Right in the chat so I can give you guys something to talk about, and I'm not just talking to myself, hearing my voice echo off these walls. Or something you want to see different. And as you can see on my chart, I believe there may be an inverse head and shoulders playing out. You can see the previous inverse head and shoulders that played out back here in February. There's the left one, the head went in below the 200 EMA. And then we tapped on top of the 200 EMA and took off. I don't think, it's just speculation. It's not like, oh, it's going to be inverse head and shoulders, Neil said. No, if we can break out of this channel, you may see this thing run, not even do a right shoulder, and it would be a different formation. But ideally, if we broke out of this channel heavily, potentially to the 618 around the 260 something, we would want to see a little bit of retracement and show some stability before moving up to that 320, 360 mark. But if we can get above that 360, as you guys all know, there is a lot of room to run. Anything above this area is price discovery, and price discovery is huge. Oh, I brought it up in the last video, but I'll show you price discovery. Data, 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 more data, data, data. And this is price discovery. So, for example, we are sitting for Bitcoin around, anywhere from 300. This is where I was buying up a bunch of it, riding this line 600, 800, and then we got over here 1,200. Everybody's freaking out. It pulls back down to 50% off, touches the 200 EMA. And then once we get up to there, we have a little bit of resistance again, touch the 200 EMA. Right in this moment, above that $1,200 mark is price discovery. And what happens from April 30th, which keep in mind, April 30th is right around when they're supposed to do the Clarity Act this year. So say, for example, it's April 30th that the Clarity Act passes. What was the percentage increase from April 30th until the top of this channel, or the top of the mark? 1,500% more or less for Bitcoin over the course of quite a few months. 4 months. Or I'm not going to do the math on how many days are in a month and all that, but you can clearly see that less than a year, 266 bars or 226 bars, 1,500% increase. We went from 1,200 to 20,000. That is price discovery. So we could essentially expect XRP being suppressed for over a decade, that it deserves price discovery. And if you have the opportunity to be entering into it at this price, you will not be missing out. Whether you're staking or, just buying it to sell it, I mean, this thing's going to be $10, $15, in my opinion, by the end of 2026. Yes, that's 9 months from now. But I mean, if you take $1 of your paycheck and put it into XRP, you're gonna be so happy that you had one XRP. I promise you. By 2030, you just have 10 XRP. You spent $10, you didn't think anything of it. That's what the people who bought Bitcoin did. They paid $10 and got a ridiculous amount of coins. Didn't touch it, forgot about it, maybe left it in a computer, threw it away, who knows. But after the decade passed, they could have been millionaires. Same thing with XRP. I'm not saying XRP is going to make you a millionaire, but with the financial system and the way that things are going to be going, if and when the Clarity Act passes, we're going to see some crazy prices for XRP. And I was talking, or I guess conversing. What's going on, Rose Joyce? Nice name. I was chatting with ChatGPT about the probabilities, just, for fun. If you had, like, say, 3,000 XRPs staked with Flare, and that was earning like 5% yield, that 5% yield, if XRP hits $50 or if XRP hits $100, it was like $500,000 just staking. I think it was 3,000 XRP on Flare Network, earning 5%. With the accumulation, redistribution back within itself, I mean, it was like, I think 1,900 or something like that for the return. I think it was over the course of a couple of years. But if you're staking it and setting it aside, there's the opportunity to just have $500,000 in your bank. And not only that, XRP is increasing in price. It's got a burning mechanism, just like supply and demand. If you have 100 apples and people keep doing transactions and then one apple just gets burned, Well, now the other 99 apples are more expensive. That's essentially what's going to be happening with XRP. It gets burned. There's only a finite supply. The banks need it to do transactions over the course of time, whether it's a decade or two from now. We are going to see XRP well over $100. I can't say guarantee because I think that's financial advice, but I'm not a financial advisor. And as you guys have seen and will continue to see, more than likely, Sofia Vergara up at the top. Anything past $50 is more essentially what we are looking for in the absolute long term. Decades of suppression will dwarf everything. It'll make these past decades we've been waiting for XRP to get a Clarity Act to actually come to fruition. And then all of this stuff in the past is not going to matter. The banks are going to be wanting your XRP, and it is going to be well over $100. Same thing with Apple. Stocks in general. I mean, buying shares and being a shareholder at the beginning is way better than saying, oh, now I got $100. Now I want one XRP. Why not buy 100 XRP at $1.38, $1.39 maybe? And that's not a bad idea. I'm personally not staking. I got a whole video on my life lesson as to why I'm not staking. Part of it's due with XCN. When you try and stake, like you go to Telegram and try and ask a question. I asked one question, got 2 or 3 phone calls randomly and a bunch of messages in Telegram trying to tell me how to stake my XCN, which I find more or less scammy. If you know how to do it, write it in the comments below for the other people as well as myself. I'm personally not staking because I've seen things happen. I don't want to go over it again, but well over a $60,000 loss from staking because it froze my assets. But it was unstaked, but it wouldn't let me sell within the platform. I had to transfer from that platform, and that time frame was about a week. They say, oh, it's not going to hit your account for a week. And within a week, I went from roughly $120,000 in profit down to 60K in 7 days. That's how violent the market can be. And it never came back, by the way. Write it in the comments below if you watch the next video, Rolls Joyce, for people to see, so they can see the methodology behind it. I assume it's just going to Onyx app and then transferring over from your account to Onyx app, and it's staked. But with the issues I've had with previous staking on different platforms that aren't a platform related, like Coinbase, Binance, whatever it may be, those obscure platforms make it where one wrong move, they can be holding your crypto. I know it can be withdrawn instantly, as what I've heard from staking XCN. But also I am weary about connecting something like Coinbase to Onyx app. Whenever you start connecting wallets, I've had wallets hacked. I've gone through all that stuff. I may consider it, but at this moment in time, what is it? Is it 38% APY for XCN? And APY is throughout the entire year. What XCN needs to do to get an entire year of staking, more or less that push. So before breaking out of the wedge is roughly what you are staking the entire year to get the same percentage yield. But as a scalp trader, I like to have my money liquid. So if it goes up that 34%, maybe it goes up to 62%. I know you can unstake instantly, but then you have to do the transfer. Maybe it's not within the same hour. Maybe Coinbase has an issue. Maybe the application's down for maintenance. There's a number of things that can happen. But what if it goes up 62%? I want to sell off, and I know it's going to retrace a bit, get that extra 30%, put it back in. Most people aren't doing that. I love playing the market we're essentially just moving money around. But after we have our major spike, which is going to be up here to 5, 10, 18 cents, 42 cents, and everybody sells off, then we have our crash, and then I'll be considering buying back in and then staking long term. But as of right now, with my previous history in staking, I'm personally not. I do agree it's a very good idea. And I am going to be considering staking with Flare Network some of my XRP just so I don't touch it. Because a lot of the times when the market starts pumping, you start getting some anxiety and you want to get out, but sometimes it's not a good bet. With XCN, we don't know what, or XRP, we don't know what's going to happen. It could pump to $100 and then sell off down to 5. And I really don't want to have all my funds staked when I could be making that major profit. They got farming on Onyx app too. And yeah, my MetaMask got hacked a while back. It was a stupid mistake on my part. Let's see. That's good. You've been staking for years. That's smart. User rules. Yeah, to leverage trade. Yeah, leverage trade is definitely a gamble, and for me at least, you get tapped out. You put too much leverage, and you liquidated rapidly. Hey, Onyxcoin has farming. ETH XCN is something like, oh, that's something I did not know. I haven't really dug into Onyx app. I'm kind of waiting on the sidelines to start staking some more. After a $60,000 hit because they wouldn't let me remove it, that's a fucking year pay right there that could have been saved. And that ETH XCN Farbig, that's to farm more XCN, right? It's not to farm some anonymous coin that nobody knows about. Let me see if I can pull something up for you guys. Let's see. Where is it? Boom. Let's see if that takes us where we want to go. Here, I'll put this. Let's do stop sharing and share this. Let me see. Yeah, I would stake a little. It's not a bad idea, but I just want to be all liquid for this major pump because I just don't have confidence in fucking platforms. It's dumb on my part. I know that. I should be staked. I don't know if you were in here last time, Rolls Joyce, but let me pull back up the chart again and let me pull my example. Let's do this. Go to OMGUSD. Here is my example of $60,000 loss due to staking specifically. Originally saw OMG, broke a 200 EMA, pump, great. Held support. I think my entry was probably here at first, $1.59. Major pump, great, sell off, bought back in after we held support on the 200 EMA. Major pump, great, hundreds, thousands, great, made a bunch of money. Major pullback, major reversal, inverse head and shoulders more or less. And then once we held that support, I think I put in, I don't know, maybe 5K or something into that, and then had a major pump from the $5 to $20. It was probably a little bit more than 5K because at this point I was up in profit around 120K. Said, all right, I want to get out. I'm going to transfer from this platform. I'm earning ridiculous amount of APY, whatever coin I was mining or farming, and I want to get out. Okay, well, you can't sell it on this platform. You have to transfer it. If you want to transfer it to this platform, um, it'll take 7 days. And within 7 days, 120K was down. I guess this isn't the best. I guess I wanted to sell right whenever I saw it starting to drop. Something like that. A ridiculous reduction in price. And that was obliterating, like 60K. Just these couple candles right here. All because it was staked on a platform that wouldn't allow me to remove it, which is different than XCN, because XCN, as you state, you can withdraw instantly. That is what the platform stated to me as well, where I lost 60K. So for me, skeptical, but I will be staking when, oh, that was a blank screen for you? Sorry. Can you see it now? Can you see it now? Oh, this blip right here. Roughly from this point in time to like this point in time, that destroyed $60,000. Can you see that? And that was due to essentially staking with a reputable platform. And they said, you have to put your OMG on our platform in order to get a one-to-one payout in Boba. And Boba's another coin. It's like, okay, well, that's like double money, no brainer. I'll put it on your platform, get the Boba. Turns out they said you couldn't get it if you left your money on Coinbase. You had to transfer it over to get the Boba. And then later they said, oh, well, actually you can leave it on Coinbase. Well, no pasa nada, and it's not an issue. It's like, okay, well, you violated me for 60K. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Definitely out of the element, Larry. So Flare is why I'm considering staking with Flare, XRP, because Flare's less than a penny now. You can, if you got 5,000 XRP, buy like $50 of Flare, and you can stake on their network and earn passive rewards. I believe you can earn it in XRP. You can mine other currencies or stake for rewards in other currencies. But you can see roughly 3 to 5 days are payouts, roughly every 2 weeks. Supporting validators, blah, blah, blah. 50K Flare per validator. So I assume you might need 50K in Flare, not money-wise 50K Flare token, which is less than a penny. I want to see the percentages. Where are the percentages? That's what I'm on. Flare portal, maybe? Staking. Maybe it won't let me show you. I think I have to log into my account to show you the Flare stuff. But definitely check out Flare for yourself, because it's been around a long time. It's a great coin. Oh, you lose APR whenever you unstake? Yeah, there's always something, isn't there? Yeah, I found out recently after my third IRS notice, because the company I was working for gave me 2 separate paychecks, and they said I wasn't using my health savings account for health saving related purposes, because apparently If you take a portion of your money and set it aside for health-related purposes, the company like gives you a percentage in like comparison to what you're putting into your health savings. But if you use your health savings for anything that's outside of the US, for example, health insurance in Spain, it's not a health savings related event. So now the money that I was setting aside for health, the government wants 50% of that because I used the money for health outside of the US health system. I don't even know why I had a health savings account if they're going to take 50% anyways. Why wouldn't I just keep the money and then buy the health? Ugh, I fucking hate the government. Sucks. October 10th, huh? All right, what do you guys want to see? Let's actually get into some TA. Actually, this one will be for you guys who aren't members. I want to show you a little bit of something. What you may or may not be missing out on if you are not a member. This can be traded on MEXC. I assume there's a reference link in the description of almost all my videos. If you use that reference link, you get 20 USDT for free. And I think you got to like transfer $100, do one futures trade. You can be in and out, but that's essentially 20% free on $100. You do all that, MEXC will give you some money. They'll give me some money for referring you, for getting you some money. But look at Dual. Dual is a gaming coin, or it's going to be utilized. Could be, potentially. There's no news or information about this. Maybe it's used for GTA 6. But I do see that we are forming a downward wedge. It has never been this low, which is a little bit skeptical. The interesting thing, though, is we've seen something like this happen with XCN, where you have the major thinning out period. The CM guppy is thinned out like sliced meat. And the volume down here at the bottom is picking up exponentially. So a lot of people are saying this could be the bottom for some reason, whatever it may be. And if we cross over this black downward trend line, maybe we consolidate a little bit more. Maybe we have a continuation of consolidation. Let's see if we can get a brush. Something like this. So maybe you got time to get in this, and we just keep consolidating while the 200 EMA is coming down nice and deep like. And then if we can get over that, hold it as support, this is quadruple 04. Pretty cheap. And if, say, we push up from where we are currently sitting up to that 200 EMA, that alone is roughly 569%. Just an option, just throwing it out there. I put like $2 in it, see what happens. But that's at the base. That's 500 and something percent. Say we get to like one of our, we'll tap in a few major resistance here. There's roughly one resistance, roughly another, and do this for good measure. If you're entering this, not saying it's even going to go anywhere, this could just be a dead coin, but it is an opportunity. To the first major resistance, 2,314%. For those of you who missed XCN's 2,000% pump, this is an option. I mean, we got data proving that it can pump. The next stop, 5,656. The next stop, 9,000. Almost 92x, and say we break past that and go to the next one, 17,174x. Say for some reason we go to its all-time high. Let's see if we can get this all-time high. If you entered in right now, 45,000%. Great. Yeah, that's hopeful thinking, right? The main thing to keep in mind is looking at the volume. This is kind of a big deal. Why is that happening? There's a bunch of people putting money into it, and that's why that's happening. And it's fractions of a penny. So there is an opportunity at bay. Neil didn't say invest into this. I'm just letting you know it's out there. Because XCN, I didn't even know XCN existed until I just randomly pulled it up and got in at a prime entry point. It was amazing. So here might be a prime entry point. Just an opportunity. MEXC has the lowest trading fee platform, and they got a bunch of cool little games in there, like do futures trades, and you can earn money doing that as well. Throw some comments in the section, and I'll start going over what you guys want to see. I think some of you guys just drive your cars and listen to me speak. I feel like a freak just talking to my computer, but I prefer if I could hear you guys. The best you can do is write in the chat of what you want to see, or if you have any input of a specific coin. B3, that's a coin. B3 Consulting. Base. Ugh, gross. I would not consider B3 the similar. The reasoning is because there are no spikes like we saw. Like we saw in the previous coin. Here, I'll show you real quick. Here's Dual. Dual looks healthier than B3 because not only did we start here, had a major pump, major dump, and then that little bit of a liquidity sweep down at the bottom, getting all the people who said, if it goes past this, I want out, tapped them out and immediately shot back up. So this point right here essentially would be a cup and handle. We see we had a high point. We pushed all the way back to the high point. We had the handle part being this trickle out point, and then another major pump showing a new high. The only concerning thing is that the next pump after that major push down, this was the only next pump we had. So it didn't go anywhere near this, but we have the data to prove it. Say, okay, there's still something there. And it crossed over the 200 EMA, but got rejected. And since it got rejected, it's been held underneath the 200 EMA. So if we can get above the 200 EMA, we could expect potential consolidation and then having that 200 EMA be the bat and smack this thing potentially back up towards the all-time highs. Maybe pure speculation, maybe we see that this is going to play out with the rest of the market. Something like that. Inverse head and shoulders. This head, everybody loves head, but this is pretty flat. It's not sloppy head. It's very, very dry. It's chaosco, as they would say. So essentially that data, the pushes up, give us the validity like, okay, there's still something happening within this. With B3, let's get rid of this, go back to B3. There's no data stating like, okay, we had this high point. This potentially was going to fill out inverse head and shoulders. But if we could imagine the 200 EMA being like that, it got its rejection from that and pushed down further. There's nothing that pushed it way up and then came down. It just had a continuation going down and down and down. I mean, it's Coinbase, I assume, right? Base 3, Coinbase. It's not a stock, no. I own coin, so I know that's different than base. Let's see. Oh, that doesn't tell you anything, does it? Everything's perpetual. Yeah. Huh. I might be up in my stock. Who knows? But Coinbase is the company essentially that said we don't want to go along with the Clarity Act because the banking system wanted to grab everybody's profit and give them pennies on the dollar. And Coinbase said that's not right. So good news for Coinbase. Great. The entire banking system went and stormed the White House saying, we don't approve. It's like, well, no shit, you don't approve. You're fucking taking everybody's money in the first place. You own a house? No, you don't. The banks own the house. It's like they want control of everything. What's the B3 game coin, or what is it for? And I guess here, let's pull up. This is essentially a game coin. I don't even know what game this is for. It did make me a couple grand trading it though. This is triple zeros at the moment, but it's got data. Oh, holy sh! What is this? What are those? Let's see if we can see the percentage on this. Where did that spike go to? What is that? This is a reason why I started trading Spell. I don't know. I'm sure it wasn't for this spike, but look at that. This is a random spike for one day. 50,000%. Boom. Absolutely insane. But it's got data from previous history. We pushed up more or less for Spell. You can see we have tapping out here around 3 cents. Randomosity of 50,000%. And then we've been flatlined ever since. But in the bigger picture, you want to see the data moving up and down. You want to see fluctuations, not like this. This is gross, more or less. I mean, it's great for those people that got in on that, but Spell is a game coin as well, moves up and down. Here, I got to check the comments, see what he said. What is the gaming coin for B3? Is it for like a base game, a Coinbase game? And actually, Spell's pretty tapped out. It's not looking too bad. I'd wait to get over that 200 EMA before entering, but there's another token for you guys who are not members. And then one I'm going to do a video on probably. If I got time, I do have to meet up with Leonardo, a member, so I can give him some insight, not financial advice, but Algorand's got a pretty good utility, pretty nice structure. It's got the data to back it. And we clearly see that it has the momentum and possibility to hit $3.20. It's been around a long time, and I've had this posted here for probably a couple of years now. And it just gives me confirmation of, hey, we're back down in that area, and you should maybe do something like this right here. But we are also not just down in the absolute lows. We are crossing a downward trend line, which in my strategy is a great indicator for a potential reversal and bullish movement. The resistance is this black upward trend line, which we clearly see is happening when we zoom in further. Boom. So we cross this black downward trend line, CM guppies thinning out. We are testing the resistance right here. If we can get and hold over that, we can expect a push to the 200 EMA. before getting some resistance. But Algorand is actually pretty good utility coin. And there's this other game I played whenever I was like in high school. It's called like Maple Story, and that game is essentially like RuneScape, where you can mine shit or collect items and stuff, but they are actually using Algorand. It's been a decade. I've never played the game since like high school, but considering getting back into it, if there's the possibility to utilize crypto to be able to sell people items within a game, create passive income. But from what I was reading, you need to put in a lot of work. Unlike that roller coin game I constantly promote, you don't really have to do anything for that game. Just go in, click one button. After you collect a couple batteries, click a button. You got 4 days mining passive income. It's awesome. I think we lost Rose Joyce. So anybody else, give me something to go over. There's 9 yen here. I gotta stop talking to myself. But actually, yeah, algo. If I had an extra dollar, I'd probably be putting it into algo. Why it's less than a dime. Maybe. It's debatable. Anything? There's 90 in here. You got to say something, or I'm just kind of winging it and talking about random coins. I'd rather talk about coins that you guys actually want to see. All right, let's do some advertising. Cruz Campo, the only beer in Spain. It's got 5.5% alcohol. You can buy it at your local store or off the affiliate link. Tastes like piss. Doesn't really do the trick like an IPA, but it's beer. By Cruz Campo. How's that for advertising? I'm not going to do a little dance for you guys, unfortunately. I don't know if that would rack up the views, but maybe I will do a dance. We'll just have to see. So there's 9 yen here. Some of you may be driving cars at the moment, but just type like a ticker, like 4 letters, so I can cover something for you guys. Otherwise, we're going to go into, let's check out DOT. DOT's got a good utility too. May not be the best coin to be putting a whole bunch of money in, but it's got data. It's got an all-time high of $52 more or less, and a lot of resistance on the way up. That's the only downside. But volume is picking up. Where's my RSI? There's my RSI. We are building higher lows. We do have a downward trend line. Hope you guys are kind of seeing how I'm piecing this together. This is TA at its finest. Because nothing's set in stone. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the market. I'm not a guru. I'm not going to tell you I know what's going to happen next. Nobody knows. You're here to try and get the best educated guessing and information you can with what I do. That's not the best channel. Channel's a little wide. Let's tighten it a bit. Say that's the channel. Centerfold it. Centerfold, you clearly see there's resistance on the centerfold and support more or less. And we are working within the channel. What if we do this? If we make it a wedge. If it's a wedge, it's outside. So it's not a wedge. It's a channel. Maybe inverse head and shoulders, debatable. Not really a whole bunch of information to go off of. We do have the 200 EMA getting pretty close. We are waiting for altcoin season to kick in for this past year with market manipulation. April 29th, more or less here, is essentially what we can expect consolidation for DOT. It's $1.43 now, and we know its all-time high is $50. If I had $1.43 in my pocket and I assumed it could be worth $50, I'd probably buy DOT, even one. You're like, whatever, it's $50. But that's kind of how I see with like the XRP and everything else. Like the roller coin game, yeah, I've earned like 27 in this past month and a half. 27 XRP, yeah, that's $27, but XRP is going to go up. So I don't see it as 27. I see it as well over half a grand from playing that game. What's up, rolling with Toshi? It's about time. The members are finally kicking in. Thinking of what coin does. Yeah. DOT it's not bad. You definitely have time. I think there will be other coins to pump before we start seeing a major pump on DOT. Could be wrong. Could just see it, fire off. But what you can see from like back here in November, push up to the 200 EMA, push up to the 200 EMA, a little bit above it, then retraced right underneath it. And the CM guppy would be like coming up here right around the center fold. That's essentially where you'd want to be entering, because then you can see some kind of pump like this towards that $11 mark. Even though you'd be entering at 2, that's still like a 5x more or less. So not bad. And let's see, you want to see Toshi and we want to see XYO. I was actually looking at Toshi recently because you became a member. Toshi, rolling with Toshi. And it is doing something pretty important in my strategy, which is crossing a downward trend line. It's been exhausted for a long period of time. CM Guppy's pretty thinned out. Potential inverse head and shoulders like a majority of the rest of the market, but nothing set in stone. We are getting a little wick off here, which is more than likely to see because we are breaking a trend line. So there's a lot of pressure and sellers trying to push this down. But we got some pretty good stability around that 0002. And if we look at this in a different light, let's move this head a little bit lower so we can see the actual base. Here's the base. Boom, and then an upward trend line. More or less this. Very thin. I like to justify the strength of the trend line by the 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I consider this a 1 because there's one tap here. We got a second tap, maybe a third tap, not really much. But this could easily break downwards and then test support on this black trend line. That's ideally what we'd want to see. I personally don't like seeing this thing take off because you want to see it hold support on a trend line. This isn't showing it exactly, but I will actually show you an example real quick of what I mean. There's a guy named Aaron. I'm unsure if he still watches the videos, but he's been in QNT for a while. And looking at this orange line right here, this is essentially a trend line. It goes here, we tapped it here. It goes here, we tapped it here, as well as this black downward trend line. So take this black downward trend line in correlation to what we are seeing with Toshi. We had a major pump. Not saying Toshi's going to do that, but we had a push away from that downward trend line. And what did we do? We retraced all the way back down towards it, lining up with the orange one, which also is a trend line where we had a tap here in March 23rd and way back here in October 14th. So we see that is a trend line that was broken. When that trend line was broken, we had a major push up. We came back into it, started forming another black downward trend line. which was essentially right around here on the January 19th. It was getting some resistance. But when we got into this pocket, we were testing and holding support on that orange trend line while trying to break over the black trend line. And when we broke out over it and had a major run away, a major reduction, and then tested it as support before pushing up and then faking everybody out, thinking that this was going to have a continuation, gave the opportunity to let you get out, and then had the consolidation and accumulation phase. But what happened after that entire thing? We pushed back down towards that orange trend line, held it as support, EMA rejection, came back, held it as support, EMA again rejection, came back down, and what did we do? Tested it as support and then pushed up. So now the EMA has been tapped a couple times, punched in the face, but now it's pretty weak. QNT, $65 right now, potential for 1,500. So there are better opportunities out there. I'm a little bit too heavy into QNT, but I'm never going to promote a coin to you that I don't own myself. Well, I guess that's not true. If it's got good TA, I'll try and promote it. And I'm not going to promote a coin to sell you my coins. That doesn't make any sense. I want everybody to profit alongside me, not say, oh, buy this so I can sell it to you. But let's kind of move back into TOSHI. That was a prime example. And let's go TOSHI. 200 EMAs thinned out. It's getting real close to the CM guppy. And the way I like to think of this is like a picture, I guess. I work very well with visuals. Language, suck at it. Anything else? I'm essentially stupid, but pictures are great, especially for technical analysis. Think of it like this. The CM guppy is the river. The river is pushing down. Maybe you get a boulder and the waves push up over that boulder. They more than likely come back down the other side and the river continues. But if you can get this where the river is very, very thin, the 200 EMA is very close. That's kind of the other side of the river. If we can get the river thinned out, we can easily hop over the river, consider it support, push up towards the other side, but more than likely get resistance on the other side, enter back in, and then that river is considered our support and would be pushing us upwards, and the 200 EMA would be tired of suppressing this. Say, all right, let's smack this out of here, get it to new highs, and then we can get you guys back into the river and trapped, floating down it. TOSHI, it is getting some rejection. It's getting some wick off. Expect a little bit of a pullback or consolidation along this. I would not expect the upward trend line to be holding, but the more important thing is the 0.0002 and the black downward trend line. We could even pull back all the way down here to 0.0016, not worried about it as long as it is holding support on that black trend line, consolidating, weakening the CM guppy while dragging the 200 EMA down, making it easier for us to cross over the river. And then we really have to get over this black upward trend line, as that is essentially the resistance. This is also showing an upward wedge. An upward wedge typically have a tendency to do something like this. Push up, down, fake out, maybe fake out like this, a little bit over it, and then have that major pullback. And then people are freaking out thinking it's going to zero. It's just testing this downward trend line. And once it finds it as support, whether it's consolidating, then we can get the push up. This area would be weakened. The 200 EMA would be coming down. Things would start aligning a little bit better. But right now, TOSHI is in consolidation. So Jeff XYO. Did that kind of cover your question, Roland TOSHI? XYO, yes, we all have been waiting on XYO. I think somebody I recommended, not financial advice in any way, but somebody I recommended still isn't a bad point for their entry. We broke a downward trend line. We were trying to do the same thing like TOSHI is doing. Okay, we want to see a little bit of support, broke that support, and then what did it do? Tested more or less the black downward trend line, but in the bigger picture, similar to XCN, it's a downward wedge. And when we look, Google it, downward wedge in trading, you're going to see something like this happen, whether it go from the bottom of the line to the top and then all the way back down and then up, down, just consolidating within that area. Or you see something like what we currently see, where we have the push up and then it doesn't push all the way down. It's around the 50% mark, tries to break out of the channel, can't do it, and then tests the bottom line, has that consolidation. But XYO is primed. XYO, if you don't know anything about it, Elon Musk, I believe, don't quote me on it, Elon Musk is going to be utilizing XYO for tracking Tesla cars. And I am told, as I finish my driving instruction here in Spain, ridiculous. The guy wanted to fail me because I couldn't fully understand what he was speaking in Andalusian Spanish. That guy he's like 60 years old, living with his mom, no girlfriend. So of course he hates life, but I passed. I can now legally drive and be put on insurance in Spain. But that is essentially, it's misinformation. I don't even know where I was going with that. I got sidetracked talking about driving school. The downward wedge is great because it shows bullish formation. Even though it is looking like it's bleeding out, we're still within this red wedge, similar to XCN. We're still within the wedge, even if it pulls down. If it pulls down below that wedge, we'd still expect some support at 0.00287 for XYO, with immediate pulling back up into the channel or the wedge, and then testing this red downward trend line. But then we also have the resistance of the upward trend line. And the red downward trend line is matching up perfectly with the 200 EMA. So essentially, when we break out of that wedge and we can hold it as support, then we can expect takeoff. But with XYO, Elon Musk utilizing it, oh, that's what I was going with. I'm told by 2030 here in Europe, everybody's supposed to have an electric car, or they're no longer selling gasoline cars, which there is no infrastructure for electricity in cars here. I mined crypto in Washington State. It was like 5 cents a kilowatt. Here, it's like 15 cents a kilowatt. It's ridiculous. And there's so much sun. So I don't know how that equivalates. Yeah, so downward wedge XYO, if you haven't entered into XYO, highly recommended. Even if it pulls back, you're not really risking much. But the upside is pretty nice. Let's see, where do I have the top? 8 cents? I think it's 25 cents. I don't think this chart shows it. But entering in at 0.003 and getting it to 0.00 or 0.08 is a very good possibility. Say we enter 0.00. Say you enter in at 0.00. Well, let's say you enter in at the top of the red wedge at 0.006. 100% increase in price from where we are currently at. But we have this black upward trend line, which is testing off of this area and previous highs. Just to get to this area is about 448%. More than likely resistance here, but that's at a 10x. Not bad. Your risk to reward is like, lose it like 1 to 10. Very, very good coin to be looking at stacking a little bit more of. I'm pretty well stacked on XYO. You can always stack more. But if you haven't entered, just like I explained to a previous member, entering in here still isn't a bad idea, even if it's bleeding out, because we're working within a wedge. And I believe in April, right around here, similar to the chart of XCN and XYO, right around this date, we're going to see some stuff happen. And where does that line up? Right at the end of this wedge. So much pressure and liquidity is built up here. We pushed up, tried to break the 200 EMA multiple times, came down, tested the black downward trend line as support. It's like, all right, we can't go much lower than the black trend line, but the black trend line does deepen. So if we pull back, yeah, you could be pulling back further than the red wedge, but more than likely pull right back into it, consolidate, and then take off. And I'll show you the exact example of where I explained this in a previous video. I don't even know if you guys can find it, but it was within the past couple of weeks. Maybe I was on crypto. This one? Yep, there we go. I was talking about, you can probably find it because I'll call out the exact date I was explaining it. Probably anywhere between the beginning of February until like February 6th. Watch that video. I will explain, yes, we can push out of the channel. More than likely, there's a bunch of liquidity down here, and it'll push right back up into the channel, consolidate on top of that line, and then push sideways or start heading back up towards the black downward trend line. It did that. Called it. Nailed it, as I like to say. XRP gearing up for 1,300% rally. Let's see what this BS is about. Bold $48 target. That's well over 1,300%. But just like I was talking about at the beginning of this live, it's possible to hit $48, $50, even 100 is a possibility. So don't lose out on not stacking XRP. If you have XCN, and you're in a loss, wait, because you may be able to get into XRP after XCN takes off, cash out some and put it into XRP. Not financial advice, but you should, in my opinion, have more money stacked into XRP than XCN. And March and April rally brewing. That's exactly what I've been talking about. Why am I even reading this? I'm telling you guys this information without even reading. So boring. Boring. Nothing in there. It's just taking my words and putting it into a form. XDC. Yes, I can, Maria. Let's check that out. And I got to check Patreon here in a minute because Leonardo, I have to talk to Leonardo before 1600 XDC. I personally didn't get into this one. I was thinking, or maybe I did for a little bit, but I was thinking about it. But I remember seeing this black upward trend line and we held some support. It's like, I don't want to enter unless we can get over the red downward trend line. And that clearly did not happen. This was probably when Jerome Powell was speaking. I think Jerome Powell spoke like right around here, somewhere in this area. Let's look at the bigger picture. The reason that red downward trend line's here is because we got data. Data is proving that there's resistance all the way through there. There's the 200 EMA lining up with it. We got some support, liquidity sweep, blah, blah, blah. The bigger thing for the support is essentially this red line right here at 0.028. Because we've held it here, we got some resistance there. Previous history, a lot of consolidation above and below that line with random wick offs to the upside. It is bleeding out. It's not looking the best at the moment. There's reasoning why I didn't enter it, because it was not holding support on an upward trend line. This original trend line could be placed anywhere. For example, here you could say, oh, look, we got a little bit of support off of this wick. Yeah, we got that, but it crashed below it. So after that, more or less invalid. All right, let's try and say, all right, there, we got a little bit of support. See, you can see it here on October 1st. You can see it here on July 4th. But once that was broken, No longer good in any way. Underneath the 200 EMA, what? Yep. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that makes sense. October 10th. That's what caused this thing to go down. October 10th, the government shutdown. The government wanting to try and control cryptocurrency. That is essentially this entire period. Government just wants their hands on it. So even though it is bleeding out, if you are trapped within it, don't worry about it. Just watch it. We are more than likely going to get this to consolidate. If it does pull back, we probably won't be going much further than 0.028. If we do, the next stop would be 0.022. But this, I like to consider it 2 to 1s. And by that, I mean like the probability. So yeah, down to here is like 32% loss. To the upside, you're looking at 53, almost a 2 to 1. So even entering here isn't a bad idea. I'm still on the sidelines. I want to see it break this red downward trend line before entering. But if it can break this, then you'd be looking 154, potentially 200, maybe the 618 up here at 244. But it's got a lot of resistance on the way up. So I wouldn't expect like a crazy spike. Granted, we've seen it happen back here in November. As soon as it got over that 200 EMA, it went from that price point up about 237%. So you could expect 200 and roughly 200%, which would essentially, it would have to break both this red downward trend line, this black upward trend line, the previous resistance here, and essentially push up to this first real resistance being at this point back here in July 25th, 20th to 25th. That's essentially what you could have in mind once it breaks that red downward trend line. Which, yeah, that's pretty accurate. So you're looking at, potential. It's roughly a 2 to 1 in the bigger picture. It's not too bad of an entry. But if you're trapped, are you trapped in this, Maria? Are you trapped? Are you still in here? Did you leave? Did you leave when I'm giving the TA? No. What are you trapped at, if you don't mind me asking, or aren't willing to tell the public? And how long have you been trading? Trading crypto for some years, or? Yeah, I assume crypto dies for like 4 years after major pumps. Nice. Yeah, that's not bad. I did Forex a while. I made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and that's actually what got me started into trading is crypto or Forex. But that can be brutal. If you know anything about Forex, the euro exchange to the US dollar was garbage. Is still garbage. For every $100, it was costing me like $20 this past couple months. Now it's at 14%. So for every 100, it's $14 just in transaction fees. What are you trapped at in XDC? Yeah. Yeah. I think most coins are in red at the moment. You have buy limit orders waiting for XDC. At what price? And believe me, I'm in the red too. I think every crypto trader's in the red unless you're Nancy Pelosi. You're at 0.02. I think I remember you telling me that. That's your buy order limit. Yeah, that's not bad. I think there's still, like, if we look at Bitcoin, and I don't know if Leonardo's gonna be available to talk, so I'm just gonna bust out like maybe another 30 minutes on live if anybody needs anything. I think this is happening with Bitcoin. I think we are seeing an upward wedge. We're getting some pretty strong resistance. And with that, this like little wick off here, we can see a push down to 52K. It all really depends on what's going to be happening. I want to put it past the government to suppress this even more right before April 29th, right? I'll put it on most of my charts. I'm going to put a vertical line for April 29th because that's essentially the most important news in crypto is going to be happening hopefully by that day. And we could see that pullback, which would essentially pull back the XDC to tap your buy orders. And that's not bad. I would want you to consider, though, the percentage differential for XDC compared to other cryptos, because that's kind of what we're here for, is the percentage. We're not here, like, oh, I made $1,000. We're not here for the money. We're here for the percentage. So if, say it taps right here, say it goes to 0.002 roughly, the push up to 618 for some real strong resistance is about 410%. And say we go to this black trend line, I'm assuming it's in reference to something else from previous resistance, you're looking at maybe a 10x. And then crypto has a tendency to double its all-time high. I'm unsure what the all-time high for XDC is. Let's see if we can find it. All-time high for XDC is 20 cents. Are you at 20 cents or are you at 2 cents? You're at 2 cents. 0.02 cents. No, you're in the red at 2 cents. Oh, so you're not really in red. 2 cents or 20 cents? You got to be in at 20 cents, no? 0.2? At 3 cents, mostly. So you shouldn't be in the red then. No? And for adding more, what's your reasoning behind adding more? I'm curious. You're a member, so I can help you with whatever questions you got. It's good to get more information on my end, but I know some people don't like posting it to the public. You're at 2 cents and 3 cents, and it's in the red for some. Maybe you had bigger orders. If you're in at 3 cents, I mean, that should be a little bit in the green. Maybe you're in at a little bit higher than 3 cents. I'm unsure. But the base is essentially this, where in between these two red lines is the fair value gap. Fair value gap, it typically has a tendency to get back in there, let all the people who are selling at this point or whatever to get out, or people who wanted to buy in to get in. And there's the possibility for this thing to come down into this range, consolidate, and then ease its way over the downward trend line. We wouldn't want to see it come in here and then blast out. That would be unhealthy. But looking at it in bear form, bears are scared to continue selling anything in this area because then they'll have to buy it back at a higher price than what they are selling at. And there's a lot of support within these two red trend lines in the bigger picture. Used for trading finance. Yep. Yeah, I could see that. Do you have XRP or are you just putting more money into XDC? I gotta put these lentils away. One second. Needs more salt. Sorry, doing household stuff. Gotta get a little cleaned up. Amen. Let's see. What's your biggest bag, if you don't mind me asking? And I personally don't have any XDC strictly because I'm waiting. With my strategy, it's always downward trend lines are very important, especially in crypto. We see it time and time again. And so having the push down, I mean, it's a high possibility that we do that sweep down there. SHIB, nice. Got into crypto and went straight for the ones that are extremely dangerous. Nice. Oh, okay, yeah. XRP, XCN, XL. All right, yeah, you're set for the infrastructure for sure. I wouldn't put it past XDC having that push down because I think there is going to be some major bad news right before April 29th. But with that, it's just grabbing liquidity. It's just grabbing the last little bit that it can before taking off. And yeah, let's actually pull up XLM. With XDC, I hope I covered it for you. I don't think it's a idea to have your positioning down at 0.02 to stack some more. Personally, I would be stacking as much XRP as you can. I've seen Bitcoin. I was buying Bitcoin at 139, and I wish I would have stacked more. That's kind of how I see XRP, because XRP is going to be the laid tracks foundation for everything else. Just like Ethereum, just like Solana, where they're like, with Ethereum, you can build a bunch of stuff on top of it. And they're like, also gas fees are $100 if you Ethereum goes up. XRP is always extremely cheap. They beat the SEC in a lawsuit. Just that alone should be enough information to be like, all right, well, this coin's got something. XLM, not looking too bad. In correlation with XRP, in correlation with XCN, more or less. I guess that's more of a irrelevant statement. But let's look at XLM. First things first. Maybe. We get some resistance and support. We clearly see that's accurate, more or less. We are underneath that, but this is essentially building liquidity, getting some consolidation, just like we're seeing with XRP. What if we did something like, maybe, let's look at the bigger picture. When in doubt, zoom out is what I always say. Because zooming out gives you all the data you really need. If it's there. If it's not there, you're kind of gambling. Does it go back further in time? It does go back further in time. Look at that. This lines up beautifully. Come all the way here. So we've tapped it once, twice, 3 times, tried for a 4th time. And I would actually consider this a cup and handle. You could even make this top line tighter. You could be like, that's the wedge we're working in. I'm going to leave mine a little loose. What was I going for? Cup and handle. So Google it, see what a cup and handle pattern is. But typically it's like something really big like that. And then it has a long fade out period. And then the handle pushes way up. But you could see cup and handles within cup and handles. And you could see, where's it at? Let me get arc. I said, let me get an arc. There's a cup. And then this being the handle. Handles have a tendency to have a long bleed out period. And I can show you an example of that. This is XLM. I keep telling myself I need more XLM. Always accepting donations, as I need to stack a bag of that. But XLM is the infrastructure within XRP for person-to-person use, which is going to be huge. It's not what the banking corporations want it for. They want to, it's layers upon layers. But XLM is something you should be stacking too, as you are. But it's in consolidation. It's trying to get over that resistance support area. And the 200 EMA is coming down. The CM guppies thinned out. RSI is a little bit overbought, but nothing too important. We want to see this consolidate. And then we have the opportunity. If you're not entering right now, I mean, it's still not a bad bet because there's not a whole bunch of downside. The downside, you know, what, 50% to the downside, but more than likely, if it were to retrace 50%, it's pulling right back up into the wedge, or at least towards this area. And then you're looking at the upside being double that. So this is a 2-to-1, which is still within my playbook of anything over 1-to-1, right? I personally prefer like 3, 4, 5-to-1s. But if this were to be pushing up, you're still looking at like a 4-to-1. which is still very good. XLM is a very good coin to be stacking, 243%, but this thing has a long way to go. And its all-time high being around almost $1. I think we could see well over $2 when altcoin season takes off. So you're investing 16 cents for the opportunity of $2. Say we hit the dollar mark, you're looking at 464. And this is where I like to compare the percentages, because it's not just about like, oh, this coin's really cheap, I'm going to buy it. You have to look at the ratios. That's roughly a 10x potential. I could be wrong. I think XLM has a lot more potential than to even hit at $2. I think it could go even higher than that. We've seen crazy things happen in crypto, but I would stack a bag of this. Always stack a bag of XRP. XCN is probably going to be one of the bigger coins that are extremely cheap and have very good data stating that the ROI can be extremely massive. Because to get the same amount in XCN, there's 400, and that data shows that it's still pushing up to the 618. And if we go to its roughly resistance 10 cents, there's almost 20x. That's not even its all-time high. Its all-time high is 18 cents, right around here, 35x. But typically we see the opportunity to double. So say we go to 36, which is an underestimate in my opinion. 36% for more or less the starting point at 0.005. 32. 6,400% opportunity. And when you really start comparing XCN, XLM, all the other ones, XCN's got a good bet, but I would not keep your entire bag in XCN. Yeah, that's probably going to be one of your highest profitable coins, in my opinion. SHIB, you never know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I'd try and hold on to as much XRP as you can. XLM, I think we're going to see XRP or XCN move first. It's going to be one of those two. XRP is going to be slower ROI in the long run, but it's going to be more stable and consistent. XCN is going to be rapid movements, easy to scalp in and out of, high percentage ROI yield. But if you're stacking in at a low price point, you're going to have to try and decide what amount you're going to want to piece out in and at what point. I always recommend selling maybe 20, maybe 30%. Pay yourself 50% of that. Donate me 10% for the fun of it. And then the other percentage, use that to re-enter into XCN to gain the amount that you missed out on if you were to sell everything, right? But I think you got a pretty good setup. You're buying some of the best coins. I mean, some people are stating Ethereum is going to be massive, maybe 10, 15K per Ethereum for a short period of time. But the amount of money that needs to be invested, as well as the amount of money you need to invest to make that percentage, it's not worth it compared to something like XCN, XLM, XRP. Hopefully that covered it. There's 9 in here. Give me something to work with. I will give you guys maybe 15 more minutes. All these videos end up being like 2 hours. And I don't talk much. These videos are the most I talk in a day. So anytime, Maria. Thanks for being a member. Hopefully this next month we can help people with one of these surgeries. I think we got about $200 from members and donations. And some of the surgeries, I mean, maybe they're $1,000, $200 can help out a lot of people. But money will be going to save animals, which most investors don't give a anything about animals, but they can't help themselves. So that's kind of where I come in. And it's not going to charity, which I think charities can be a scam. Like Red Cross gives 1% of their money that they earn to the actual business, but nobody's stopping me from giving 50% of what I make to save animals. Isn't that right, crackhead? Little me cracks. Crackhead and a Bendigo. Hmm? All right, there's 8 of you in here. You're running out of time. You got to give me something to talk about. What is TX Texture Capital? What is that, Dusty? And if you're not a member or subscribed, definitely do that. Or you guys, if you're on your phone, like 70% of you watch my videos on your phone. Apparently there's a hype button. You can use it 3 times a week. Hype up my videos, get them pumped out there. I don't know what else I can do to reach more people. I've tried everything. Tried different titles, different thumbnails, putting my face in the thumbnail. Apparently ridiculous numbered titles are what people will look for. Tried government titles, editing my intros to be SEO, search engine operator friendly. I can't get more than 200 or 300 of you people to watch, if that, for 3 minutes. What is TX Texture Capital? I don't know what that is. You got to give me a ticker or something, man. I don't know what that is. Well, since nobody's got any tickers they want me to look over, let me look at my CoinGecko. See if there's something I can throw you guys' way. For those of you who are not members, this is some of the information you're missing out on, or coins you may not know about that have some high opportunity. That's right. One I've promoted many times. You can trade it on MEXC. Using the reference link, you get 20 USDT for free if you transfer 100. And then do one futures trade. But that's like transferring $100, doing a quick trade, and getting $20 free. It's kind of a no-brainer. But if you are going to use MEXC, I always recommend connecting to a VPN, like Proton VPN is free, then clicking the reference link, then creating an account on MEXC. But this is one of my favorite coins. This washes money. If you haven't seen Ozark, watch Ozark and then realize that this cryptocurrency can do exactly that, besides like all the drugs and murder and all that stuff. Well, actually can do that too, probably. But Tornado Cash washes money. You don't need a shell company. You don't need to be a genius. Tornado Cash, if you got Bitcoin and you have an anonymous wallet like MetaMask, you can put your Bitcoin into Tornado Cash. It washes it, sends it to a bunch of different computers, and then sends it to your wallet address that's anonymous. They do take a small fee, but if you're looking to put it on like an anonymous wallet, and then put it into like a ledger. Nobody knows you got it. It's off the blockchain, but it's still there. This is an option. My entry was here at 750. Throughout the entire bleeding out period, I made a couple 100%, 750 up to 18, rebought back in at 11 as that was a support and resistance, sold at 20, rebought back in at that exact same price, sold again at 18, started forming a downward line, and then broke the upward line. So we did have that major pullback, but it got tapped out right at the original entry. So clearly this is some type of support. We are building higher lows in the bigger picture. And if we cross this downward trend line, we've already tapped it 3 times. We can consolidate, tap this. We'd be over the 200 EMA. 200 EMA would be sick and tired of getting tested and pushed lower, and $8.49, but it's all-time high given the data. We have the data. The only concerning thing is we didn't have a major push back up. $463 as its all-time high. Currently $8. $10 for the opportunity of nearly half a grand. It's there. The data's there. 200 EMA is thinned out. We've pushed over the 200 EMA multiple times. Here, here, here again, consolidation, broke a trend line. Here, 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 all over the 200 EMA. Then we got pulled back again, but everybody's saying $7.50 for a coin that washes money? Too cheap. This point in time, the guy who created Ethereum started supporting the coin when it had its major pullback, pushed it up to $20. There's a bunch of good stuff behind Tornado. I'm not saying put everything into it, but the opportunity is there. If you miss the opportunity to enter in at 730 or 750, you have the opportunity to toss, well, if you join MEXC, free money, free $20 at this coin. And if it breaks this downward trend line that we are waiting for, altcoin season can be kicking in. I'm going to draw a vertical line on this as well for April 29th. Well, I'll do April 30th. Time is running out. This thing can consolidate, potentially push over this. And if it can get back over that $11 mark, which is true resistance, hold it as support. We can start to expect higher highs, anywhere from 32 to 55 to 82 and beyond. So opportunities there. I have presented it to you for the people who are not members. And since nobody's saying anything, I'm going to bust out one more. I did Algorand. That's not a bad one, but that one, I'll leave that one for members. Oh, failed to bring this one to your guys' attention. Yeah, there's reasoning behind that because I think this got delisted on Coinbase. Smart thinking. Don't put everything into it. It's been like, I mean, if you look at the chart while the market was bleeding out, this wasn't bad because we were increasing in price while the market's bleeding. This is a little deterring, but if we can get over that downward trend line, there's the opportunity. The main resistance is that $11 mark. Since we crossed over that, 200 EMA is kind of tired of it being below 11 and wants to push it up. But if you do use MEXC, make sure you're connected to Proton VPN or whatever VPN before clicking that reference link, because some people in US cannot use MEXC. When I was in US, I was able to use it because I used a VPN. But then one day I wasn't using a VPN and they said they were going to close my account. I had so many days to withdraw my funds. Wasn't an issue. I didn't lose any money. I just had to withdraw the funds, create a new account, connect to VPN, create a new account, and then send the funds to that account. No issues. But I think they only give the 20 USDT if you use the reference link for you and for me. So that could be the $20 that you invest into Tornado Cash. And then you could withdraw your money from Mexi and never touch the platform again if you wanted. But that is an option. Brubaker, you said the same thing in the comments on the last video. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I got YouTube said I did a policy violation when I explained how to use Proton as well as how to trade Tornado Cash in the same video. But on live, they don't do that for some reason. I guess they can't stop me from using freedom of speech, whatever it may be. But yeah, you could put in the money, do one futures trade is what they ask. You could be in and out, whether you make a penny, lose a penny, but then you get the 20 USDT. There's no need to hope, Brubaker. It's gonna happen. It's just a waiting period. This is a coin I was gonna bring up right before the pump. I didn't because they removed it from Coinbase, I think. They removed it from a lot of places, but look at this. Is that right? Bertua. That can't be right. Well, that's why it's pumping 500% today, because it doesn't fucking exist. Maybe it was virtual protocol. Nope, wasn't that. I'm looking at it though. I've heard a lot of good things about virtual, but it's just been bleeding out like the rest of the market. Ideally, this is your entry point of around $1. I guess I can't pull up what I wanted to show you because I don't think it exists anymore. It's in my CoinGecko, but I can't see it on the markets. 461% this week. That's what it says. Let's see. Everybody starts coming in at 1500 right when I'm about to end this thing. That's crazy. But I guess it's the time zone. Cookie. Yes, Hemlock. I'll do Cookie real quick. You can always become a member, and then you can ask me direct messages like Maria does or whoever else. And I can cover Cookie for you, and I probably cover Cookie in some of my members-only videos from time to time. Let's get you a good chart. Let's see if we can find. I think my work's on Coinbase. Nope, there it is. This is Bybit's chart. So every platform is going to have a different chart, and I've made ridiculous amounts on some platforms compared to others. Coinbase is terrible for making money, but it's very safe. Because some of these markets, they'll just rip down, tap it, and then go right back up. And that's not allowed in Coinbase, which is unfortunate. Here is Cookie DAO. Downward trend line was broken, right? Came in, tapped it again here on October 9th or October 10th. Market manipulation. Continue bleed out period for market manipulation. There's the real support. That's all the information we have for support. It's about as low as it can go. Fractions lower. Volume's not telling us much. Still in consolidation. According to its previous history, like here, it went from this price range and then had a major pump out of nowhere from a little bit of volume. Major pump being 225%. So compare that to XDC, Maria. That was in a lot shorter period of time to hit that 220, sell off and give you the opportunity to buy in at 50% off before having a continuation 500, 600 was its all-time high. All-time high of nearly 4,000%. Cookie, I believe, is also a governance token similar to XCN, which you can't really put much into governance because it can be manipulated, but Cookie DAO also has staking mechanisms similar to XCN. There's a lot of good things behind it. I think I put in a little bit of money at Cookie, a little bit lower, even though it's bleeding out. But if we can get this to stabilize right around here, around the 0.018 to 0.015 area, the 200 EMA is kind of getting weakened out. The CM Guppy's thinned out pretty heavily. And last time it was thinned out pretty heavily. A little bit of volume is all it took to push it from the RSI here being around 36 to completely overbought. And that little push was a pretty nice pop up. Are you trapped at any point in time, Hemlock? What's your entry at? Or are you not entered? You're just waiting to look to enter. These black upward trend lines, more or less relevant. I'm actually going to get rid of those because they're a little confusing. Inverse head and shoulders did not play out. Get rid of that. Liquidity sweep, government shutdown, great stuff. Way to move the market down to almost nothing. There's not a whole bunch of data to say whether this is a good entry or not. RSI is middle ground. There's not overbought, not oversold. It could pull underneath the yellow and still build higher lows. So we could see this pull back depending if Bitcoin drops from its wedge that it is in or pushes up. Essentially, every coin we are looking at is waiting to see what Bitcoin's going to do, because if Bitcoin doesn't move up, these can't move up. But if this does move up, you could see a potential 200% pump, because not only does that line up with the 200 EMA, it also lines up with previous resistance and support history. So 150 to 200% is an opportunity for Cookie DAO. I personally wouldn't be entering in a bigger position into this. I'd be waiting to see if Bitcoin is going to break out of its wedge to the up or downside, and then we can have a better opportunity. But clearly the black downward trend line, we don't want it going anywhere near that because they would have to drop to negatives. That's not even possible. So the only real resistance or support we have is this 0.018. Little bit of volume showing like, hey, we don't want to go much lower than this, but there's not enough data to state whether this is going to pump or not. The only thing that would make a difference for Cookie DAO at this exact moment is volume, meaning people are buying and continue to buy. Let's see, we got a downward trend line. It did potentially cross over that, but still, if it pulls back, you could be seeing that area being tapped. Ideally, with it tapping that, pulling right back up towards this 0.018, and then having its reversal. It all really depends on the big dog Bitcoin wedge. Here's the wedge we are looking at. I keep doing these videos to try and keep you guys informed. I know a lot of you guys are kind of new. Crypto has a tendency to freak people out and liquidate people because they may have a sell stop in below an upward trend line like this wedge, and it could pull down into that area and immediately pull right back up and then do the reversal. It's happened so many times in crypto. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, we don't want it to go below 59K. We're going to sell if it does. And then they sell and it's like 4 hours or like 30 minutes, pulls right back up to their sell point and then does its reversal. Happens all the time. So I personally don't use sell stops. Been tapped out too many times in crypto and realized, hey, if it goes down, I'm holding it till it goes right back up, because it will come right back to the area within its support and resistance. Woozall, you made it. Made it right when I'm about to finish. I got an XCN video for all you guys that I made prior to doing this. So So hopefully that's informative. Anything you want to see, Woozall, before I end this? I gotta finish some studying and clean up a bit. I've been slacking. One more I did want to bring up. Let's see. Yeah. Let's do one more meme. So that game I constantly talk about, Roller Coin, it was pretty cool. They give you like USDT. Oh, look at that little guy. They give you USDT whenever you like play games, whether it's a penny, 10 cents, whatever. You have a little character that can do expeditions and get you crypto chests. There's a bunch of different variations and ways to make small amounts of crypto. And I traded 1.89 USDT because I couldn't withdraw it. They don't allow USDT withdrawals, but almost every other crypto you can withdraw. And they had this crate that's still going, and I exchanged less than $2 for 50 Doge, and that's like $4. It was like a double money thing. So couldn't withdraw the free money that they gave me, spend it on the chest. Check out the Roller Coin game. It's a great way for passive income. But 50 Doge at almost 10 cents, it's not bad, because Doge has the opportunity to hit $4, even $5, so they say. But I wouldn't put it past it to get some strong resistance on the way up at 34 cents, 50 cents and beyond. But that's like a 5x. It is a meme coin, so don't put your entire bag in it. But it is at an absolute low. It can go lower, can go to 0.07 or 0.05, but that would mean Bitcoin would have to go pretty low, which is a possibility. It can do that last little blip, then have its reversal. It's pretty far away from the 200 EMA. It is underneath this upward trend line. It is holding a little bit of support, which is contradictory to the previous two things I just said, but it's in consolidation, so it's not bad. Oh, no worries, Woozall. I was supposed to have a meeting with another member to go over some stuff for XCN and exit strategies, but he is not responding, so I kind of put in an extra 38 minutes or so. Contentos? Yeah. Viva España and America, even though America's not in the best terms with Spain for a short period of time. What is Contentos? It's the first time I'm seeing this. Whoa. What is that? Are you trading on Binance, Woozall? Or you said you were trading in a Australian platform or Kraken or something, no? Let's do some TA. Pip. Yeah, that volume looks nice, doesn't it? We are beyond its lowest low, which is a little concerning. But I was saying the same thing with the dual. If you watched this 2-hour video prior, there's a coin called Dual that's doing kind of the same thing, but it's not looking bad. The volume's picking up. Let's look at it this in another angle. We're just piecing together data bit by bit. Let's do... Come on now. And you can see that I just kind of placed this here as we did have this major wick off, pushed all the way up to roughly 3 cents. But to line it up with this point in time, double resistance, just kind of threw it in there, which is more or less the top of this. You could even make this more angled. But let's look at this. A lot of things are having a tendency to do a downward wedge, which in most cases, especially this is actually looking pretty good. Good call, Woozle. Similar to XCN structure. It's doing what we see normally happen in a downward wedge. The volume's picking up. I wouldn't be entering in at this exact moment just because it pumped. I would keep an eye on it though. I could be wrong. We could see this thing continue. But I think Bitcoin has a little bit more power than what most people expect. It's getting a little wick off in the 4-hour. Volume is increasing, price is increasing. That's not divergence, but it's not bad. Let's dig into this a little bit more. It's over the 200 EMA on the 4-hour. Trying to make it over the 200 EMA on the daily. If we can get a close above this 200 EMA, this actually isn't bad. How'd you find that, Woozle? Just going through cryptos and seeing? $137. Nice. That's what I like to hear. Good job. That's awesome. This is the correct coin, right? This is what you're referring to? 137.14. What is the 137.14? That's the, oh, gotcha. You started 137%. Nice. Good come up. Well, yeah, I'd be a little scared too with that one spike just from what I see, but good call. I'm actually going to look into that a little bit more. I do have a Binance account, which isn't bad. That's 0.002. Good job, Woozle. That's what I'm talking about. For everybody else watching, that's what I'm looking for. People doing their own TA, finding things that I don't know about, and I'll do the same for you guys because that is a very good call. It's very interesting. We got the data. We see the data. It's all here. We had a major pump, major rejection, tapped it saying, psych, we're coming back, letting those people who were trapped get out for a split day, maybe a couple of hours, let them get out. Then had the reduction. And we still had data pushing us back up towards more or less previous highs from back here where we had some resistance off of these. So that would be one of the more first major resistance I would be looking at besides this actually being the first major resistance, which essentially is the fair value gap. So if we can get out of this wedge, this is actually looking really good. I might have to put some more money into Binance. Because if you're up 130 something percent, it really depends on Bitcoin if it's gonna have its pullback, but the volume is looking good. We are overbought in the RSI on the daily, which means we may have a little bit of a pullback depending on where you entered. I mean, you are up 130%. That's 86. So you got in at like the absolute bottom. Or maybe you didn't get the whole 130. Let's say you're more or less here. Yep. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Currently, it is sitting at, is it underneath that line now? Nope, it's right here. You'd want to see this close. Keep an eye on that. If it closes, you may start seeing consolidation. And if it consolidates over the 200 EMA, then you would just be looking to stack a bigger bag. We may tap this a few times. There's the possibility of tapping this and then retracing underneath the 200 EMA, but still building higher lows off of these previous higher lows. So you could even draw in something like this, an upward trend line. I like to do it thin. So we know it's not for sure held support, but if that can close up here, that's great. That would be very nice. It is possible to start seeing it sell off, and then it's just ending up being a big wick. But the CM Guppy is thinned out. There's no reason that this can't hold above the 200 EMA on the daily. Zooming into the 4 hour, it's way above the 200 EMA, which makes it look like it should have a pullback back towards where it was previously at. But then you start building in the resistance and support right there. You'd expect some type of support within that 0.0015. Ideally, you'd want to be holding above that, consolidating, and potentially starting that move back up towards this black downward trend line at the 0.003. But for those of you who are not entered in it and don't want to enter into a spike, wait for it to break this and then have your entry. But for you, Woozall, I can't give you financial advice. Maybe sell 50% and then wait for a re-entry, or just hold it. Because if you're up 130 something percent, the money that is stacked at that low point around the 0.001, you're going to get a lot more percent on the ride up to that black trend line if it does end up doing that, than selling off, waiting for a re-entry and trying to scalp the rest. Your entry, if it was down here and you're up that 130, it's hard to not want to take it because there's the possibility of having that 50% retrace, but then you're entering in at a little bit more risk. It's really up to you. I can't tell you what to do, but congratulations on that. That's like trading silver at before silver pumped. You never know with the bot attacks. That's true. But good job. Ideally, you want to be holding above this area. And if there's any more data, just start piecing in the layers. You know, like this is the last time we crossed over the 200 EMA with a spike, and then it did its retracement, consolidation, and then kept bleeding out. So you could see something like that similar. But April 29th is the big news day for almost all cryptocurrency. It's got a ways until April 9th, so you could see this pull out, consolidate within this area, the fair value gap, more or less, and then hopefully build some support on this black, really thin upward trend line and get pushed up with that 200 EMA coming upwards. We've been looking at dailies a lot. Dailies are essentially the bigger confirmation. 4 hours are for scalping. But that's, yeah, you got a great entry. If anything, I'd just be waiting to stack more. It looks pretty nice. You could even piece in another one off of this wick off and this wick off, this support, boom. So these are the layers of support and resistance. It's got a lot of support on the way down. It's got a lot of resistance on the way up, but it blasted through the resistance on the way up. So you can expect these to be more or less your support lines, keeping in mind the 200 EMA is right there. 200 EMA is like coming in nicely. So you could see something like this, and this, even if it pulls back, you'd want to see it like that. Even if it pulls underneath the 200 EMA, this black trend line right here is what you want to see hold as support for this to be valid. And then this would be essentially the area you would be looking for entering a bigger position. But ideally, you'd want it to break out of this. But a lot of the times when you see candles like this moving, you're going to see, like, for example, say it pulls down to this line, you could see it push way up here and then get that resistance at the 0.004. And if that were to happen, obviously you'd want to be looking at a sell-off because we'd want to see it come back down, test that trend line as support, and then have its next continuation upwards. A good call, Woozle. Thanks for joining the stream last minutes, but yeah, that was good. I'm actually gonna try and save that one. Contentos. Oops. Oh no, what'd I do? Oh no. All right, I'll just keep it in the back of my mind. Remind me in the videos I post, because that's a pretty good one. I could email it to you if you want. Which one? The dog under surgery, just the logo, pips for pups. I got you on Patreon. Or actually I got your email on Patreon. I can just send it straight to you probably. That works too. Here, let me see if I'll just state it. I'll state the beginning. Yeah, it's essentially, yeah, Woozle, right? I don't want to give out your email to anybody, but I'll send that over. I'll send over the ones that I have. And I'm actually going to end this now. I've been on this for 2 hours and 17 minutes. So I hope it was informative. Good call, Woozle, on that last one. And good luck, everybody. Like, subscribe, become members. Like Woozle, Maria, Junior Carlos, VMI, Tyler, Toshi, everybody else who I missed too. But thank you guys for being members. Next month, we should be able to save an animal's life or at least help pay for a surgery. So I'll post these videos. I'll message you the things I got for those photos and the PayPal QR code if you want to do that thing that you were talking about, putting the QR codes on the sleeves and all that. Hopefully it works. We'll see. Good luck. Have fun with it. I will see you guys on the next one.